Okay, so we all remember the jump from space, right? It was everywhere. But what if I told you that the biggest leap Red Bull took that day wasn't from a capsule, but in marketing? In this explainer, we're going to break down how Red Bull Stratos became, without a doubt, one of the most brilliant marketing moments of all time. So let's go back to that day, October 14th, 2012. You probably remember where you were. Millions of us all over the world were absolutely glued to our screens, watching a live stream that felt way more like a NASA launch than, well, an ad for an energy drink. A lone figure was about to step out into the void. And he jumped from an altitude that's just hard to wrap your head around. Over 127,000 feet. That's more than 24 miles straight up. You're in the stratosphere at that point. The sky is pure black, and you can see the curve of the Earth below you. Just incredible. And as he fell, Felix Baumgartner hit a speed of Mach 1.25. I mean, think about that. He became the first human being to break the sound barrier with literally nothing but a suit and gravity pulling him down. That's a moment for the history books, right there. So, what was the result of all this incredible risk and engineering? Well, the event has now been viewed over 1 billion times. That's billion with a B. And this is where the amazing spectacle starts to look a whole lot like a genius strategy. So let's really get into this leap from space, because it was so much more than just a record-breaking stunt. It was a carefully planned, legitimate scientific mission that just happened to be disguised as the most extreme sport you could possibly imagine. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. The project's own technical director, Art Thompson, said it himself. They treated this like history in the making, because that's exactly what it was. This was the real deal. And this is where the story really pivots. You know, it's easy to focus on the daredevil in the suit, but this whole thing forces you to look past him and see the dozens, if not hundreds, of scientists and engineers who made it all happen. I mean, just look at this. This was basically a private space program. You had teams working on the capsule, the full pressure suit, medical protocols, physiological monitoring, even the massive weather balloon. Every single piece of this was a massive scientific puzzle. And just take a look at the tech that Baumgartner was wearing. The chest pack alone was an absolute engineering marvel. We're talking multiple GPS units, data loggers, an IMU to track his spin. This was all about one thing: collecting data. And here it is, the official mission statement. The stated goal wasn't to sell a single can of Red Bull, it was to advance aerospace safety. It was to collect data that could help future pilots and astronauts survive high-altitude emergencies. They weren't just putting on a show, they were actually contributing to science. Now, all of this science, all of this research, it all folds into what is, frankly, a revolution in marketing. Because while the science was very real, the strategy behind it was pure genius. Red Bull decided to stop sponsoring events and start owning them. Okay, this right here is the core of their whole philosophy. Think about the old way of doing things, right? You just slap your logo on a race car or a stadium like the Coca-Cola 600. We, the audience, see that as kind of selfish. Our guard goes up. But Red Bull's model is totally different. They create something brand new that we see as beneficial, an awesome event, a piece of history, and suddenly our defenses are down. We're not being sold to, we're just being entertained and amazed. And this is basically the Red Bull playbook in a nutshell. Step 1, create your own culture. Don't just rent a spot in someone else's. Step 2, become the thing people are actively searching for online. And steps 3 and 4, own it from the ground up, from a local event all the way to a jump from the edge of space. All right, so we've seen the unbelievable stunt and we've looked at the brilliant strategy behind it. But did it work? Let's take a look at the impact, which we can call the Stratos effect. This is really the billion-dollar question, isn't it? After all that time, all that money, all that risk, did it actually move the needle for the Red Bull brand? Well, the data couldn't be clearer. A sentiment analysis of what people were saying on Twitter showed that the Stratos event generated way more positive feelings and far, far less negative feelings than just the Red Bull brand by itself. People didn't just tolerate the marketing, they absolutely loved the mission. And that love, well, it translates directly into market dominance. Today, Red Bull holds a staggering 43% of the entire global energy drink market. This wasn't just for clicks and views. This was for market share. And to really put that into perspective, this makes Red Bull the third biggest soft drink brand in the world. They're not just playing in the energy drink sandbox anymore. They're going head-to-head with giants like Coke and Pepsi, brands that have been around for a century. And they got there by playing a totally different game. So when you step back and look at the whole picture, what's the big lesson here? What did Red Bull really figure out that no one else had? And this is the heart of it. Red Bull isn't really selling you a beverage in a can. They're selling a feeling. They're in the business of human potential, of pushing limits, of adventure. The drink is just the souvenir you pick up after you've experienced what the brand is really all about. Which leaves us with this one big final thought. What Red Bull Stratos proved is that a powerful story, one that taps into something deep inside all of us about courage and discovery, is so much more powerful than a traditional ad. And it really makes every single one of us ask the question, are we selling a product or are we selling a story?